Just a week into the release of their brand new acoustic album, Time Travelers and Bonfires, we are pleased here at localbozo.com to have with us on the line Morgan Rose, the drummer from Sevendust. Morgan, let's get right into this. The new album's got 6 new acoustic songs and some re-recorded versions of Sevendust classics in acoustic form. How is the new album being received, and how satisfied are you with the finished product, Time Travelers and Bonfires?
It's the response has been overwhelming. I mean, we went into this thing looking at it as a novelty and looking at it as something special for the people that support the band. And, the people that support us have been asking for an acoustic record. So we kind of looked at it like this would be just for them. We do it together. And, when we threw it together, the idea was to do an EP, and it took on a bunch of different ways. We looked at it a bunch of different ways. We were like, should we just do 6 of our own songs, the old ones, and do an EP? Should we do 6 new songs? And then we're like, well, wait, we'll do a full length. We'll do 6 new, 6 old, and we'll let the people pick the old ones, and we'll knock out 6 new songs, and that should be done pretty quick, and we'll get them involved and have a good time with it. And now, it's just taken off. The shows have been huge. They're expecting a pretty high week at Billboard. I don't know what the number's going to be, but I've heard some crazy ones, and we'll see where it lands. But, this thing that started off as just, as I said, just something as a little thank you to our people has turned into another album cycle.
Now, you mentioned there's been a lot of clamoring for a new acoustic album since the release of 2004's Southside Double Wide. But as a band that's built itself off of its incredible live performances, was there any talk of just maybe doing a full-length live album rather than acoustic one, or was this always the plan?
Well, this was the plan. As I said, it kind of took on 3 different options that we were looking at. But during this, we're filming for a television show tomorrow, and when we heard about that, we were like, man, we got approached by somebody about doing another live acoustic DVD, and with the DVD and everything with it, and we were like, okay, why don't we talk about doing, because the other thing that everybody's been asking for is a live DVD of us playing the heavy stuff. So we're like, maybe what we should do is we should double this thing up. We'll do the acoustic live, and then we'll do the heavy live. And we'll double it up and just do a 2-disc set, of us in both formats. So that's what we're talking about doing now, is something to maybe tide everybody over in between the end of this acoustic cycle and the next, heavy cycle.
Well, that certainly sounds like the best way to please everybody.
Yeah, it's just another show for us. So, it's not like, we'll do a little bit of post on it to make sure everything's, dialed in, but we're a pretty live band, and we try not to use too many tricks. So it should be something that's pretty easy to do. And then maybe, while we're in there doing some post, we'll throw a song or 2, on there of heavy stuff, just to put a little cherry on top.
You guys have been doing a good amount of press leading up to the new album and the tour. Obviously, everybody's talking about the PledgeMusic campaign. It was a massive success for Sevendust, which took all of 2 days to raise the money to create the new album. What's that like for a band, just to know that there's so much support for a record before it's even been made?
Well, we knew what, the people that support this band that have been there for so long, we know the strength. We don't take it for granted. I've said this a million times, but I've said, if you take our best 1,000 and put them up against anybody else's best 1,000, we're going to kill everybody, because we just have this loyal base of people. We don't like to call them fans. It feels strange. We've never called them fans. We've always called them friends and supporters, and and they have become family to us, because it's now it's turning into generations coming to see us, where people that were 20 years old coming to see us at the beginning are now 37 years old, and now they've got their 16-year-old kid with them, and the kid is into it, and then his friends are into it. So it's like it's starting. The demographic is widening, and so when the idea came with Pledge, the people that were running this were like, I think, how much money would you need to do the record? And we're like, well, we can haul ass through it if we do it like this. And they were like, okay, well, we'll put the money up at this. And I was like, that's going to get hit in no time, man. And what nobody really knows is that they actually changed the pledge number because it got hit in a few hours. Everybody thinks it was a few days, but really the number was hit in a few hours. The minute that thing went up, it was like it crashed the server. And so we were like, I told you. I said, we're not trying to get rich off of this. We're not trying to make money on this thing as far as, from the people in that way. We're trying to do the best record that we can do without using any machine other than the most important machine, which is the people. So whatever it costs for us to be able to live up there long enough to be able to have the studio, to be able to travel back and forth, that's what we need to be able to do the thing. So they upped the number immediately. So, then in 2 days, that number was hit. And I'm like, you guys are not understanding what I'm telling you, like these people are serious business. I mean, the people that support Sevendust, those people are hardcore. And, so, then it was done. Then it was like, okay, well, these people really want to see this thing. So now, instead of it just being, us doing if it started off, we'll do an EP, then it was, okay, we'll do a record, then it was, okay, I guess we're going to go on tour with this thing to, I guess we're going to have an album cycle. Mm-hmm. We thought we were done in a few minutes. I thought I was going to be done off this whole cycle for the year by now, and now it's turned into, they've booked the second leg and they're getting ready to book a third leg of it. So half a year of being home just turned into half a year on the road.
To the surprise of no one, the band has mapped out a pretty extensive acoustic tour. As we're speaking now, it's running through the end of June. Are you finding this run of shows so far to be a bit less physically taxing on your body and for you especially on your voice?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this thing is a cakewalk. I had the stomach virus for 2 days and didn't eat for 2 days and went up and, it was nothing. I still play hard and, the guys have to sing. I don't do any of the screaming, obviously, so I don't have to mess with any of that. And there's some backups that I sing, but overall it's just been like, it's a really emotional show. There's been nights when I've cried up there. There's many nights that LeJean cries up there. We've played shows where I can just see, dozens of people in the crowd falling apart, and it's not during Angel Sun. Yeah, they might have emotional ties to that, but there's other songs now, and there's old songs that aren't even really, they weren't built to be, they're not ballads, but the lyrics, they're so clear now doing it acoustically. We do a version of Disgrace, and every night, I'll just sit there and I'll just have my hands over my face because, when we wrote that song, that's a long time ago, and it brings you back to that place, and you look at your life, and it's like, wow, man, this has been a long ride, man. This has been an incredibly long ride for a bunch of little rednecks from Georgia that had like 150 people that gave a damn about them, and now we've got this family of people, that we see on the road, and you have a lot of time to think about this stuff out here. And when you're on stage, when you're playing heavy, you're in the moment. When you're doing it acoustically, you can actually absorb what it is that you did. You can sit there and listen to what LeJean is singing. I never heard a word of what he was singing when we're playing heavy. I'm in my own world, Now I sit there and I'm like listening to him and I'm staring at him and I'm like, some of these songs, there was a lot of pain involved when we wrote them. And so it brings that back.
It's funny you mentioned the screaming. You've got two great singers in this band, with LeJean Witherspoon, of course, your frontman, and Clint Lowry on guitar has got an incredible voice. But you've carved this little niche out for yourself as the drummer that's been mic'd up, and you add in your own vocals to the band. Sevendust as a group would probably be incomplete without your screaming on track after track. So my question, what or maybe who inspired you initially to become so involved vocally?
Oh my God, man. It's like I've actually hadn't been asked that question a whole bunch, but lately it's been a little bit more than it had been in the past. That thing started a few bands before I put Sevendust together, and really the only reason why I ever did anything like that was at practice, and it would be, I'd be writing melodies for the singer, and I didn't want to have, at the time, it was, I hadn't, worked on singing and playing drums together, so it was hard for me to reach over with a boom stand and sing into this microphone and try to play the drum part at the same time. So we got one of these headset mics, and I had seen Tommy Lee use one, and it was no big deal. I never wanted to use it. I never wanted to sing. I just wanted to write the melodies with him at practice. So then we started doing that, and then it turned into, his range was a little bit, shady at times. So it would be, well, why don't you just sing that part there? And I'm like, man, I don't want to sing. And I kind of got pushed into singing the part. And then gradually, band to band, it got a little bit heavier. And then, we got Sevendust together, and I had been singing a little bit. And Clint has a beautiful voice. LeJean obviously has a beautiful voice. And Clint has developed this really low heavy one, but for the longest time, he didn't do a lot of heavy vocals. He did a little bit, but it was his lower heavy one and then this like crow-like screeching thing that I did. And we just, put it into the mix. It was nothing that was, we didn't think anything of it. We just were like, well, that'll fill up space. We'll have 3 different voices filling up space.
And now it's hard to imagine the band releasing any songs that don't involve your trademark screams.
Yeah, I hate it, man. I mean, it's like, I actually regret it bad because it doesn't tax my voice as much as what people think. It's just actually the more exhausted my voice is, the better when it comes to that vocal. The sketchy stuff comes when, I'm doing the backups to like Got a Feeling or something, and it's got to be sung, and my voice is a little bit ragged over screaming a bunch. Now I'm realizing that, singing, screeching like that for so long did a lot of damage to the vocal cords, so I can't really sing the way that I used to be able to sing. I had this, they used to call it was the crow was the screamy one, and then if I sang anything, they called it the Sykes or the bro. And that was like, John Sykes-like voice. That was the one that I would sing with. So now that one's kind of leaving me. And, I'm going to be stuck with this screechy crow voice for the remainder, I think, for the most part.
So how is the acoustic studio material translating to the live show, as far as the musical arrangements?
Well, I mean, we brought our friend Kurt from Architect Studios, who had done a lot of programming on the record and played keys on the record and all that. And he also played bass and did a lot of programming on the Call Me No One record, and he also worked on Blackout the Sun record. So, we were going out with this, and we didn't have the means to bring an orchestra out or anything like that. So we're like, one day we were like, man, maybe we should just bring Kurt out here. I mean, it's not like, this is a heavy show where we're going to have Iron Maiden-like deal, with 6 guys on the deck, getting in each other's ways. I mean, Iron Maiden can pull it off because they're playing in front of 190 million people a night. When we're playing a place that holds 900, 5 guys on the deck is enough. So we were like, maybe we should bring him out and let him handle all the stuff organically, because we didn't want to track all of it, because without it, it made the songs empty, I mean, we didn't want it to be, we did an acoustic record the way we wanted to do it. We didn't want this traditional acoustic guitar, bongos, vocals, maybe a string arrangement here and there and leave it. We wanted it to be, a different type of acoustic record. So we didn't want to run all the tape on it, and have all these keyboards and stuff flying all over the place and nobody up there playing them. So we asked him, and he said, yeah, and I think he's filled the arrangement. He's made the show.
The band makes a stop locally here in New York City at the Highline Ballroom on Sunday, May 4th for a show called, fittingly, An Evening with Sevendust. Now, New York has almost been a second home for you guys over the years. What are some of your memories of playing in Manhattan?
Tons. I got all the memories. I mean, we started out as a band that people thought was from New York. I mean, we're from Georgia, you know, and we played New York 13 times on our first record. And I was so naive that when we went back on the second record and played it like 6 times, I was like, man, can you believe we only played New York 6 times on this album? And people were laughing at me. They're like, dude, you're supposed to go through once, maybe twice. You know, you can't keep doing that when you reach a plateau. And what we had done in New York was, you know, I remember playing CBGB's before we had a record deal. I remember, you know, nobody being there, but I was able to say I played CB's, you know. I remember when we did get a deal, one of the first shows that we played there was at Coney Island High. And again, there was about, you know, 50 people there. And we thought we made it. 50 people in New York, and a lot of them knew the music and loved the band. And we were like, God, this is amazing. Next time we go through, I think we played Coney Island again and sold it out, a few hundred people. And then it went to I'm trying to remember where we went after Coney Island High, but basically it was a quick shot to, by the time we played there the 13th time, we were headlining and selling out Hammerstein. And so basically in less than 2 years, we went from playing in front of 50 people to playing in front of a sold-out Hammerstein show, you know, headlining on one album cycle. And I was in love. You know, I was like, my family is from New York, but I was brought up in the South, and there was nothing better than to sit there and look out at the crowd at Hammerstein Ballroom. That particular show that we played there was a band opening up for us, and I won't say who it was, but I can tell you that the loyalty was built early with this band, and that I heard the chanting going on, and I was doing a photo shoot, and I said, what is that? I said, they're having a good show. And at Hammerstein, we were on the roof, and I opened up the door and looked down, and the entire floor was sitting down with their backs to the stage and their middle fingers up chanting Sevendust while the band was playing before us. And I was like, wow. You know, we got some loyalty. I was like, I wanted to tell them, come on, man, you know, take it easy on these guys. But at the same time, there was a little bit of, I don't know, it was a semi-euphoric feeling that they loved us that much that they really could care less about seeing anybody but us.
I'm pretty sure I was at that show, and it was pretty remarkable, actually. You guys also played not long after 9/11 in New York, and that was a really special scene. I remember a bunch of the Yankees were there, and at the time some New York City firefighters. That was a really special scene.
Yeah, man, we've had just some really special, amazing times in New York, you know. I mean, you know, we played there, when we played there after 9/11, that was a huge, huge deal. You know, I remember, you know, somebody throwing up a New York Fire Department T-shirt and LeJean putting it on, and you know, it was just, you know, we have a love affair with New York City, and you know, it is home for us. I mean, we've got a few places that we really love, but you know, we lost a lot of, you know, times have changed where the promotion that you get out of radio, you know, to think that there is no more, you know, MTV and K-Rock support like there used to be for a band like us in New York is sad, because they were going nowhere. Those people were leaving nowhere. They were, and they are there. I mean, we're going to, you know, play to a sold out room. It's not going to be Hammerstein this time around, but, you know, we're going to play to a sold out room in New York. They're going to sing every song louder than anybody else in the country. We're going to cry on stage because we love it there so much. And then we're going to roll out and talk about it for a while.
Morgan, you've been so generous with your time today. Is there anything else you'd like to leave for the readers of localbozo.com?
Oh, man, thanks a lot. When I saw that this was in support of that show, I was excited. You know, we love New York, and I can't wait to have some real pizza and some real food and to see all of our people there.
Fans, Time Travelers and Bonfires, the brand new album, fully acoustic album from the rock band Sevendust, is available now wherever you buy your rock music. You can catch the band locally right here in New York City at the Highline Ballroom on Sunday night, May 4th. It's an evening with Sevendust. It's something New York City has never seen before, and we've been chatting with drummer Morgan Rose. Morgan, thanks again for your time today. All the best of luck on tour and with your new album, my friend.